Well, so my guest for the morning is the National Women's Organizer for the NPP, Otiko Jaba, doing good work, going around the country, rallying women, and also soliciting a lot more sentiment and views, but also trying to influence them to vote not only for her party, but also change the course of the vulnerable and the minority and the overall voter population of our country. Thanks for joining me this morning. It's a privilege to have you. It's been a while you've been here, though.
Yes.
Okay. And we know that there are recurring issues, now particularly from your flag bearer zone. He said true state of the nation address that he convened about 2 days ago. We've had some reactions also from government. No? Okay. First, let's talk about your own assessment of what the president gave, and then before we come to your flag bearer's own assessment overall.
Right. Thank you very much, and a good morning to your wonderful viewers. Even in London, they get
Joy News.
Joy News, yeah. So you've gone international.
Yes, we have.
Well done.
Thank you.
Yes, so a good morning to your viewers in London as well, and any other part of outside of Ghana that you're in. The State of the Nation's address is a national issue. It's not an NDC issue or an MPP issue. It's a Ghanaian issue that every president comes to tell us the state in which we are as a people. And that is not the time for us to come and provide theatrics or drama. That is not the time for, somebody would say, concert. This is the time to be critical and tell us exactly what has gone on, good and bad. It was sad that the president came to tell a good story and left out the challenges that we face. Is that really Ghana?
Meaning what?
Meaning that if you come and tell us all these beautiful structures that you have built and not tell us the debt that we owe, and not tell us how much that debt or what the quantum of that debt, the 99 million, could do for poor people in Bunkungru Yonyo or Nakmanduri or Krisi for that matter. When you come and you tell us that you've built fine schools, whereas you're supposed to have built 200, and you've only completed 4. What happened to the other 200? Tell us, what stages have they reached? And then when teachers have not been paid, you didn't tell us that. I would have expected the president to bring some of those teachers as well. That is the story of Ghana. I would have also expected him to bring some of the children still using the trees and the schools. I would have also expected the schools have done the same thing that the minister said.
Changing the phrases.
Changing,
but that's
yes.
Okay. That's okay.
I would also have expected him to bring in all those people who have not benefited from the leap. This is the leap that President Mahama told us under Akuffo that it was a demonstration of failure. Today he's touting it as his achievement.
But his government has also come to expand it.
What single social intervention has the NDC brought to Ghana? No, nothing.
You mean as a policy director?
Yes, they haven't. And so if one administration has brought it, you shouldn't use it for political votes. And that is what this administration is using it for.
Are you saying?
I am saying it.
Are you saying if a policy directive is supposed to be a continuum and it's continued, and it's expanded in that way, they shouldn't take glory for it just because they didn't propose the...
that's not what I'm saying.
They didn't initiate the initial policy?
That's not what I'm saying. It is the reasons they're putting behind it. Now, they go and give you the leap, and they add a cloth with President Mahama's picture on it, and they tell you it's from the president.
You've seen those cloths?
Yes.
The label?
That is disingenuous, because it is your tax money, and mine, and all the other taxes, electricity tariffs, that give us all these internally generated funds to be able to provide
you're saying it's unethical?
Such things. It's unethical. It's the same thing that happened in 2012 when the office of the president went overboard by 650 million. So that is why we are where we are in financial crisis.
Was also talk about the other side, which he
because he has already given the good picture.
Was more affecting the ordinary Ghanaian.
Nana Dankwa Akuffo Addo, and a good morning to him, was speaking for the voiceless, for all those people who died during the Kintampo accident because the brakes of the Metro Mass failed because the money that should have been used to maintain the bus was used to rebrand with the president's
Is that what the
picture.
MPT said? That it's not because somebody didn't supervise well.
It's not about supervision. When you use, how much was it? 3.6 million to rebrand the bus, what is going to be left to maintain the buses?
Oh, you have a good point.
That is a problem. And that is what President Mahama did not talk about. And the fact that
But the
ambulances
MMT
were not also available for those people.
So you're saying overall, the health infrastructure for emergency services is weak, just like we noticed some few weeks ago.
Is it just weak?
What is
It's
it?
in a crisis. Because the National Health Insurance
Is that
itself,
not an exaggeration?
how can it be an exaggeration? I am a rural development worker. I don't even know politics.
You don't talk
I
in isolation.
talk development. And that is why I am in politics. When I went to the Brahafo, Kenyasi, Nkranza, across Brekum, I went to all the constituencies.
You went to Wenchi?
Everywhere. And I went to 8 communities in each area, each constituency. The people leave the the village to go to a place like Techima or Kintampo to look for the NHIS card. They go and they sleep there for days and weeks because
Just to get access?
Just to get the card.
And they don't get?
And when you finally, it takes you about 2-3 weeks to get it. Look
Why
at the
is that?
money.
What did they
because
tell you was the reason?
the system is not moving fast enough. And then when you get the card, it doesn't work. Because if you have hernia, they'll give you paracetamol. If you have diabetes, they'll give you paracetamol. At the Catholic Church clinic in Techima, it's now the cash and death system. If you don't pay in a lot of these hospitals, the National Health was supposed to come in to help the poor. This is a party
Well,
of
the
social
president said it's
democrats.
also because access has increased.
Access increased because they thought it would be okay to use it for voting. So they themselves paid for people to get the card.
Are you saying that, well, even if...
Increasing access is not enough.
Even if access is increased because a particular party wants votes, if that is the case, but then we have a lot of people having the card.
What's the point in having the card when you can't get the medication?
Why can't you get the medication?
Because they are not paying the providers.
On time.
All statutory payments are in arrears. And that is why when you go, they give you paracetamol when you have hernia or diabetes. How can that
Because
be?
they're not getting the supplies because they're not being paid.
They're not being paid.
And so that's what Nanado also sought to look at.
That is what Nanado was talking about. It's not about telling us the beautiful story. When you build the schools, teachers are not being paid, student teachers are not being paid, there is no chalk, there are no tables, then it means
the criticism
that
against
you're
your
just
flag bearer is the
describing
fact that,
a
well,
fantasy.
despite criticizing, he's not been able to postulate very well what he intends doing if he's elected president as an alternative. That's a refrain. That's a refrain from various government communicators.
One, he did mention what he would do. And previously, when he talked about free education, didn't he say that was the answer to transforming Ghana? And we were told that he couldn't do it. And this government turned round. That is the hypocrisy and the double standards in coming.
Yes. For example, he said he provide free SHA.
That is the justification, and they're not even doing it properly. When you say that you're giving free education, it must be free. Even if you're paying 1 cedi, it is no longer free. And we are told that it is 400 and something, and government only, the parents are paying about 140.
Well, the criticism against that very policy and for the argument that you tend to raise as a party is the fact that if you look at our finances, even if Nanado was in power, he couldn't have done it. What do you say to
I will come to that. Let me finish answering this other question. The part that Nanado didn't give the answer. When Nanado brought the Northern Isolated Development Authority, we were told that it wouldn't work. And then they come into power and they do the SADA, and the man who is the Northern president makes Northerners even sadder than Northerners have ever been. Where are the guinea fowls that could have changed the lives of those young boys and girls in Bole? They are into Galamsey and spoiling the water. There is no work in Bole. Go across the country, graduates, 53,000 complete, and only 4,000 have jobs. How can that answer our problems? Leadership should give us practical solutions, and Nanado offered them. Also, he talks about corruption, that he will not be corrupt. Corruption is the nemesis of all African leaders, especially leaders who will not be honest, who are selfish and would use their pictures to brand buses. Corruption, it kills the destiny of our youth and even those of us who are sitting here today. And that is what Nana Addo is saying. When you reduce corruption, you will get more money. When you manage the city and ensure that you are not going to borrow monies and put it in your pocket, Ghanaians should not be afraid to say these things at 59 years of age. We must call a spade and let President Mahama tell us that when he lies down in his room and he thinks that Ghana was a corporate entity, would he allow Wyoming to take 51 million of our money when the court say that it should be retrieved and the Attorney General is sleeping on it? If JIDA, the NSS, Isophoton,
all the things
CP,
that Nana Addo mentioned,
all the things that he mentioned, if it was his personal money, would he agree for those monies to be squandered like that?
But the debunk claims by the NDC.
Now, what did you expect them to do? They
and
will
their
come
communication is that those are issues that most of them have been in court, if not all of them are in court. And logically,
being in court is
society,
a failure on their
where
part.
Society where we're supposed to be guided by tenets of the rule of law, and we can't strangle the court.
Let us not use
to take decisions in our favor, can we?
President Mahama and the NDC are being disingenuous. You don't use the courts to cheat the people.
Are you saying that's what they're doing?
They're hiding behind the law to cheat the people. The Supreme Court said that it was create, loot, and share. That is the law of the people, the highest body. And they asked them to retrieve the money. Wyoming said he would pay the money by the end of 2015. To date, today I'm reading that he says they should give him 3 years. If you go to borrow money from a bank, what happens to the interest? What happens to the principal? If you don't pay, don't they come and take you to court? Don't they take your things away?
Well, 51 million is a lot of money to return back. Now, he's a business.
Now, who
have
costs
reinvestment. Okay.
Now, who costs some?
That's your point.
Yes. So you see, it is disingenuous and it is wicked of this administration because they are social democrats who talked about accountability and probity. Ghanaians died because of that. And today, we are being raped and we are being stolen through these reckless corruption, mismanagement, and the taxes. You increase taxes on cutlasses, condoms in an agrarian society. You increase taxes on pure water. You increase electricity to 70%, water, and fuel.
You are saying taxes are bad? We need taxes to develop.
Taxes should be within the range.
For all the multilateral donor countries that we tend to deal with, it is the taxes of their people that they have more than enough to even borrow us.
In Sweden, they charge high taxes, but from day nursery to university is free of education. The facilities work. I use a meter. When I pay, I should get light. I pay, I don't get the light. I used to pay 20 Ghana, now I pay 150, plus I have to get a generator that I have to put fuel in. That Baba, how is he going to be putting a fuel in a generator to be able to eke out a living?
And you say he can't do that
and the
because
hairdresser. Please, you cannot overburden the people and expect them to pay. There is no quality in the delivery of service of electricity or water.
So now we have stable power, but you're saying it's not
We don't have stable power. Yesterday in my house, the lights went off 3 times.
Well,
it is only like when we are...
local power cut.
It is not. It is a reality.
That's what the ECG tells us.
Please. It's because President Mahama wants to paint a good picture. So he will come and tell us that he has fixed Dumso. When you and I know that he has not fixed Dumso.
So what's
my friend at Legon, yesterday, they turned off the lights. All over Ghana. I was in Techima last week. As we were talking, Mama visited us. Now that's what they call Mama Chiaye. He visits you and then your lights go off. As we are talking, if you are not careful, the lights will go off.
Yesterday, a press conference was convened by the leadership of the NDC, led by the General Secretary, flanked by the other party leaders. And they purported to accuse the MPP of trying to summarily get various civil society stakeholders to conduct research that would reservedly tarnish government's image, painted to be very much corrupt.
It is this pettiness that has brought us where we are. Asidun Ketia, his judgment is warped because of the coat he wore to Germany and created an international embarrassment.
That's a very strong language
for
to
Ghanaians.
use, don't you think?
Yes, for a general secretary representing the ruling government. He
doesn't use that sort of language on you.
He does. He does.
Why do you want to use that sort of language?
That is not the point. The point is that his judgment is warped. Because since he went and disgraced Ghana on the international, he did. The British and the Germans all use that language, that he has embarrassed Ghana. Those are not my words, but that is the gospel truth. And when you come back and you cannot say anything meaningful, your best bet is to sit somewhere, because he himself said that with the removal of Yabuatijai and the Kwabeneje, he will not be able to operate. So anything that he is saying now is suspect. For him to come and say that violence in MPP and da-da-da-da-da.
Well, he's raised serious issues with some of the issues also that have been raised by Nana Addo in his press conference. And you say all the reply you can give to him is that his judgment is not the best.
That is the beginning of my submission. Apart from his judgment being warped, the pot cannot call the kettle black. The PNDC supervised tremendous killing in this country that we have never seen. It's President Akuffo with the heart from God that said reconciliation. It's not because we have forgotten. They're the last people to talk about violence. Here, how many times have you seen not been beaten up by NDC functionaries? Just last week in Ayawaso Central, Kofi Potofi went to agitate a problem to solve it. Somebody pulled a gun. They had to run. People got hurt. At their Congress, what happened to Obade Samoa? This nobleman, did they not bring horse whips? He had to wet himself. What happened to Frances Essem? She showed her back of how she was whipped by the NDC. They shouldn't talk to us about violence. A political party is not the government of the day. National issues of the economy, of unemployment, of corruption.
So your argument is you're not in power. So no matter what happens, it shouldn't be talked about.
Not that we shouldn't be talked about. Don't cover up. It is a diversion. They are bringing MPP matters. Is it the problem in MPP that is going to give you food? Your daughter whose school fees? Look, a farmer goes to work, toils throughout the year, gets some 3,000 to get his child a nurse to go to school. She finishes. She can't even get a placement, let alone the allowance. I met a boy in Nkranza who had finished tech. He did law, and he's a spare driver to a taxi. That is the order of the day. Cocoa has gone down from 1 million metric tons.
You say you met somebody who,
a young man, yes.
He's read law.
Yes, he's finished, yes.
His degree is in law.
Yes.
But he's not a professional lawyer yet.
Oh, my dear.
But he's a spare driver.
He's a spare driver.
But what's wrong with it? We go abroad and we go and do...
When you pay and spend so much...
And we go and drive taxis.
You have not gone abroad. You are in this Ghana, the land of gold and what have you. We are blessed. It is the poor leadership and the incompetence of managing the economy and the corruption and the huge borrowing that does not go into production but into people's pockets that will let this young man.
And you're saying all these are the conditions that are not creating the opportunities for,
but of course,
for somebody like him,
but of course,
to get opportunities.
But of course, and the opportunities for women. All the market women have their hands on their heads and they are crying because people are not buying.
Well, we have to wrap up this very conversation on Nana Addo and the reaction of the NDC, etc. But
can I conclude on it?
Yes, please do.
To conclude, I want Ghanaians not to be afraid to speak the truth. Not to say, oh, where they are your politics. It is MPP matter, NDC. No. It's about your life. Look at your situation and see whether the government of the day is addressing your needs. If the well-being, the peace of mind that you need to live in your home, to be able to feed your children, give them good health and water and all the things that you also deserve as a Ghanaian, not the few Idebi Keke people, then you must seek change. And you must speak out for change. Change that will be meaningful in your life. Change that any government that comes in will be forced and challenged to build on it.
Okay.
Not to blame.
Do I get the understanding that for all the things you've said in your summary,
yes,
you're saying government's policies and all the things that the president pointed out in the State of the Nation address are only benefiting few people?
Yes.
Okay.
And that
all right,
it is a cover-up of the real problems in Ghana. It is a cover-up of the fact that 99 million Ghana cedis have been borrowed, never before. And that even the interest alone is 9.65%. And we are borrowing money to pay the interest when we have oil money.
Let's look at this.
And so change is coming.
Parliament has passed or will be passing the Constitutional Instrument 91. And we know it's going to gather elections. And from then on, it will become a very expensive enterprise if you want to vote twice, etc. And under the new Public Elections Registration of Voters Regulation, a person found guilty of any form of electoral fraud risks going to jail for 2 years or will be fined for 35,000, etc. The instrument is currently before Parliament, will take effect soon, and then it's all to make sure that people don't vote when they are not supposed to vote, especially people also don't tend to register when they are not supposed to register. What do you say to this?
I agree. It's a very good law. Better late than late.
Than never?
Better soon or whatever.
Better late than
Better
never.
late than never. It's important that we appreciate what voting means. It changes all our lives. And we must have confidence in the register. There should be integrity of the register. And when you have Togolese and minors on it, it means that somebody else is making the decision. Somebody who is not supposed to make the decision of who should be the leader. And that is why we are where we are, having poor leadership. Because people by law who are not supposed to be voting would be on it voting. And so if there is a deterrent of this 35, how much?
It will be 35,000 Ghana cedis.
35,000 Ghana cedis.
As fine.
As a fine to stop.
Or unable to pay, you go to prison for 2 years.
You go to prison. That will be a good deterrent if it will be effective. Not that the Supreme Court says go and collect our money and then you don't go.
That's what the law says.
What the law says must be implemented. There's no point in having a law that is not going to be implemented.
Sure.
That does not help us.
Sure.
And this election 2016 is about the destiny of Mother Ghana, about choosing the right leader, a leader who will not be corrupt, a leader who will care about the people, a leader who would want to listen to the cries of the people.
Have you been following the activities of the Electoral Commission? Have you been following the activities?
I've been following the activities.
So far, have you been satisfied? Well, you have concerns with why we're not going to have a new voters register, etc.
I'm very worried.
But so far, they've come out with a certain timetable. This month, we would have been having the voters register in a limited basis opened, so that people can go and register, etc. But I think you should to the next month also.
I'm worried about all that because even to get the dates into Parliament, I'm not sure that it has been laid yet. And that is why it has been shifted to April. And the fact that now they want to use National Health Service, National Service personnel and bringing in one of the heads of the National Service personnel.
You're saying they are incompetent to work within the structure of the way we tend to...
I'm not saying that they are incompetent. I'm saying that we had a system where we were using teachers. Teachers teach our children and they perform. And so why have we moved away from something that was working? 2012, the 27 series, because they used foot soldiers and cadets. And this time they want to use national service so that they will push in... It
worries you?
Yes, they will push in 10 and other youth to come in to steal us again, so to speak.
Is that the intention?
I believe so. Why would you not
You're
use...
speculating.
Why? I'm not speculating. It makes
National
sense.
Service personnel are not tame.
Why?
Are not tame personnel.
But are they not part of the National Service? How would you know? If the red light had not been brought out, somebody talking about Imani and all these other institutions that they are there for MPP. Is the CJ, was it there for the bidding of the NDC? Let us not be infantile. We are developing a nation. When you have a system that works, like using the teachers, let's go back to them. Pay the teachers. Pay them like the soldiers who are not being paid. You serve your country, you should be paid. Like the black queens who went and played football, their bonuses, to date, President Mahama promised to pay, has not paid. Meanwhile, the monies will be diverted to brand buses. For God's sake, 59 years of age is a disgrace. And we need to have confidence in the voter register. I met a man in a taxi, I take taxis a lot. He was telling me, he said, one of his reasons was that this government will come and that government will come and his life is the same. So another one too that he says...
There's some level of apathy?
Yes. Another thing that he said that was worrying is that I was standing in line in the sun and then I'll vote. No, be me vote. And that is dangerous for this country. That means the wrong people will go and vote and we'll still be where we are. So I want to plead with the NCC and the EC to bring in transparency. Bring in the IPAC. Before she takes, there should be more consultation instead of going to bring this new idea. There's nothing wrong with new ideas when you consult people. And we let people all feel good about being part of the process. And I don't want to believe that these committees are going to take the place of the EC. Because the Shiraj and all those other bodies, they have their functions to perform. And you cannot go and bring in the crab committee. It brings out what we are supposed to do. To date, cleaning of the register has not been done. And yet, we are supposed to go and do limited registration. So the woman is pregnant. You are going to add another pregnancy. Can you hold a double pregnancy in your home? The register is over bloated. We all heard about the need for reforms.
As a party, are you training your people towards what the electoral calendar is in terms of the various activities they're in?
If we don't, then that will be a problem for us.
Are you?
Yes. If we don't, that will be a serious problem for this Ghana. We are the alternative, the new patriotic party. We speak for the voiceless, and we must be prepared to do the right thing by the people. We must be responsible and accountable to the people, just as the government of the day should be. And so it is important that all of us as a people must engage ourselves in the discourse. And also when it comes to limited registration, we should go and ensure that we register all those who have not been registered. And if you have already registered and you can't find your card, there's no need to register again. That will be double registration. And to go and challenge if you feel that somebody who should not be on it is on it. You should not give a chance for the MPP to lose this election, because the MPP losing is you losing. The MPP is coming to bring change that would
as
really
parties, have you been
lives.
assured that perhaps maybe we're going to do plastic cards with some bio...
But that is
what sort of...
That is what we have with the biometric...
yes, we do, but the cards are still...
you
know, in Nigeria, they have this sort of ATM type of, the way they... that's,
yes.
That's more...
What we are also saying that the CRAB committee has also said is that at the West, let's even have validation.
At the point of voting?
Yes, at the point of voting.
But not all people can be voted, because even in the Nigeria elections,
that is true,
not all people were validated.
If people use the National Health Insurance card to register, how are you going to remove them?
But that has been annulled, hasn't it?
It has been annulled, but they are still there. They have the ID card.
There were some who registered.
Yes, they registered. A lot of people registered with it. How are they going to separate the sugar from the salt? Seriously. If you pour powdered sugar and powdered salt, how would it be done?
Is that why you wanted a new register?
That is why we wanted a new register.
Even if
for the sake of peace. For the sake of peace, not because of MPP. So that whoever wins, there will be peace. Because what we saw in courts, if it happens again, Ghanaians are not going to take it lightly. Everybody knows that 27-0 cannot be a mistake. It is a deliberate way of stealing the people's destiny. And that is why we are asking for a new voters register. And the woman, Madam Charlotte, being the first woman commissioner.
You mean the chairperson for the electoral commission?
Yes, the chairperson.
She's not just a woman. She's the
She
chairperson.
is, yes.
The way you refer to her.
Oh, because she's a female. She's the first. That's my point. She's the first to be there. She is blazing the trail of women's emancipation. She must do the right thing. She must ensure that we all have confidence.
Well, she's
as
had
a
one
mother.
or two blunders, but she can be forgiven.
Exactly. Her mistakes are more than anything else.
Oh, really?
Yes. Why did she go and tell us that in Ashanti region, the figures there
well, she's come
were
to apologize for
200,000.
it and given us the appropriate figure.
Can you apologize when there's a war in Ghana? The people that will die
well, there's no war.
because of your mistake. But these mistakes...
That's hypothetical. There's no war.
These mistakes lead. We saw it in Liberia. Please.
You have a good point.
We cannot joke about these
Let's
things.
look at this. I want to give you 2 minutes.
So I would just like to say that Madam Charlotte, the chairperson, should be more serious and more transparent and consult more, because the destiny of Ghana lies in her bosom.
Okay, let's look at this for 2 minutes. I know my director says that we should close, but we'll close. Former President John Akuffo says government must put in place tough measures to deal with the problem of nomadic herdsmen in parts of the country. Now, this very subject has been touched on by various people. Yeah. What do you make of now we're having a former president formally come to address the subject? It says that we need to make sure we address it head on. The security agencies and government needs to be firm on it.
I thank God that we have President J.J. Rawlings and President Akuffo still alive. Not every president gets that, to be able to give advice. And they have given some very good advice. Both of them also talked about the peace and stability of this country not too long. So it's in the right direction that there is insecurity in Ghana from these headsmen. And there's the need for us to have a law that will ensure that we live in peace, and that our agric sector, that is also dropping. When you go and suffer to farm, that farm should not also be spoiled by, your friend is saying, cattle. Because already, you see that even plantain, we import plantain from Cote d'Ivoire. Cocoa, we are importing from Cote d'Ivoire. We have serious issues about food insecurity. And so farms in Ghana should not be trampled on by cattle. That must be stopped. And this fight must also be stopped between citizens and the herdsmen. People are being raped, people are being killed, and so forth. All this in the heat of all these terrorists and the Gitmo and what have you has a sense of serious insecurity. Today you hear that somebody has cut somebody with a cutlass and so forth. So it is important that the Commander-in-Chief, President Mahama.
What do you want him to say? I thought State of the Nation is touched on.
What did he say? President Mahama, in the area of security, concerning the Gitmo, he didn't say anything. He should have taken it to Parliament. He and Obama should apologize to us for that. And he should ensure that he doesn't become a dictator. The sovereign will of the people is vested in the president. And he must not go and pass laws or go and sign deals with either the Turkey people or with Americans. Today in Ghana, we're going to be 59. We expect that we live a life that indeed we are bold and that the cause of freedom is upheld. And that at 59, Ghana will raise the flag high, not that we'll bow down our heads in shame.
Otiko Afisa Jaba, that's right.
Afisa
Jaba is National Women's Organizer of the MPP. Thanks for joining me.
And that change is
coming. Very
coming.
forthright, assertive, straight to the point. Anyway, thanks for joining me this morning. I'm happy, a privilege to have you.
Thank you too.
I love your haircut. How'd you get it done? All right, we're taking a break. When we come back, Gladys Oredo will be here with a lot more entertainment. Just stay on.